Alright, hello everybody. We are coming at you live from a early morning here in Harbor and Town. We're going to play Derail Valley, and in this video we're going to play this game with sort of a goal in mind, and that goal is going to be we are going to play the game as though we do not have any special abilities. Those special abilities would include the flying mode, also the dashing or jumping mode where you can kind of move around from place to place really quickly. We're gonna make a rule that says we will not use those features for this to add a sense of realism to the gameplay experience. And so this is what we're going to do in this video. We have a DE6 here, and we are coupling up to some forestry trailers right now, and we are about to knock the brakes off on this train and take it to a place that I haven't been yet, which is Forest Central. So that's what we're going to do right now. But yes, we're going to try to play this game as real as possible, meaning I'm going to have to make some calculations when I'm making switch moves and all that. For now, it shouldn't be too much of a hassle. However, later on, as we get into some switch activities, it may become more of a challenge. Now, that being said, to make this work, especially with the DE6, because the DE6 has the remote control disabled, I went ahead and got a mod for it. I just have to get it set up first. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to bring this engine back ever so slightly. Get the air hoses hooked up. Now, thankfully, the handbrake is on the correct side, so that saves us a little trouble there. And we can go ahead and get a look at these forestry trailers right here. Pretty short-looking trailer, but it has this really cool, hydraulic claw on it right here. So it's almost like a self-unloading or loading trailer. It's kind of cool. And suitably, they're going to be going to Forest Central, so they are going to be heading into service. This would be a great opportunity if this gas station were to be open. Maybe it's a little too early in the morning. Gas station almost looks closed, to be honest. But it'd be a great opportunity to grab some coffee before we head out. So, that being the case, we're going to start making our way up onto the engine and climb into the cab here. Very well. And then we can get this train on the move. And we're going to waste no time. Alright, so this is the first video that I'm doing since I've gotten my audio, my new audio mic set up. For those of you that don't know, I was using a headset mic, almost for just kind of casual gaming. So I've gone from that to a actual like podcasting type of mic. And so far it sounds pretty good. I haven't been able to put a video out on it. This is going to be the first video because I was still having some audio issues up until very recently due to some settings that were kind of causing a echo that I could not figure out how to fix. And I was struggling for a while just trying to figure out how to set up the like make audio adjustments, and it turned out it was just I had a couple settings that were kind of like duplicating my audio. So I think we got all that fixed now. And that's great because that we can start putting out videos a little bit faster, because I was finding that I was struggling a lot with the like getting the audio stuff fixed, and I was very disappointed with a lot of like what I was putting out. And of course there's a lot of things that I wouldn't even upload because they just sounded terrible. So I'm happy that I was able to get all of that stuff fixed. And then after all of that, I do a video, and I had one little setting that was wrong in OBS, and it caused what actually turned out to be a really great video. Actually recorded a whole hour or so of gameplay that was completely well, useless because the voiceover did not work. It basically was a track input wasn't set up right in OBS, so it was recording the in-game sound, but it wasn't recording the voiceover part, it was a real shame. But it's fine now. We're making progress. Yeah, so other than dealing with all of those audio issues, I've been working the extra board at my job, so it's been kind of nice because I've been able to get a lot of time at home, and that's been helpful. Now, in this last month or so, since I have like last put out a video, I was sort of in a situation where I was being called in a lot, so it wasn't really advantageous to make recordings and all that. But I'm kind of back into a little bit of a dry spell as far as work goes, so that's been helpful. Looks like we're going to hit that first switch right there, and we're going to be rounding the corner, getting back onto the, I guess, the main line, you could call it. And of course, through a curve that does not look like it should be able to handle trains at the speed that it does, but yet it seems to be just fine, so it can hop up to 70. It's kind of funny with all these speed changes that happen here, because you start moving in one direction and then suddenly you've got to slow yourself down, as is the case right here where we're looking at a 60 and then suddenly we're dropping down to a 40. Coming up to a Y right now. This should be taking us, yeah, it should be taking us to the left, or so straight into this tunnel up here. We can cheat just for a moment here, just to kind of get a nice view over this bridge as we're on our way to Forest Central. Kind of getting out into the middle of the country. And it is actually a beautiful day to be traveling through Derail Valley. I'm going to hop back in the cab here just so I can see what's going on. Looks like we can speed up a little bit more. Like, I have a tendency now to be a little bit of, like, afraid to speed up too much, because as soon as you get up to these high speeds, as you can see this little, like, red triangle sign below the speed limit sign, your speeds are going to drop. So it's kind of gives you like this false like sense of security when you start speeding up, when you see those bigger speed signs. I don't know, it seems to me that the safest speed to go, if you are not really sure, is keep it around 40. That way you got a way to, accelerate or decelerate, depending on what you've got coming up in front of you. As I was mentioning a little bit earlier, I did pick up a mod which basically re-enables the remote control, which was disabled by the developers of Derail Valley. I just wanted to make sure I was on the right path. The remote was disabled by the developers of Derail Valley on the DE6, and so it was originally available, and I found a mod that basically re-enables it, because there's a lot of situations where that remote's going to come in handy, especially with even if you're not doing yard shunting stuff, you may still be in a situation where you want the DE6 to be able to make some moves while you're not in the cab. So it actually is quite difficult. So to me, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to disable the remote on that particular engine. Just like, if you want, more realism, like, it's not necessarily the thing that's really going to make it, I don't know. To me, it doesn't really seem like it really adds any sense of realism to it, but, I get that they're trying to make it more of a challenge. Coming up to the steel mill right here, but we're not going to go into the steel mill. Instead, we are making another left turn that will take us towards the farm, and then beyond the farm going up towards Forest Central. And we're getting closer. Got a downhill grade right here. Looks like a pretty steep downhill grade, actually. So we'll go ahead and kick that dynamic brake on. It's kind of a cool, like, dome up there, like maybe like an astrology, like, telescope or something. Like, I wonder what the story is behind that. Let's see, can we still see it? Yeah, like way up there. Yeah, like, I don't know, maybe it kind of looks like maybe like it's either like a Doppler, like, radar thing, or it's a like satellite, or not satellite, telescope. Looks like this next switch is good too. This switch right here is the one that's going to take you between the farm and going up towards Forest Central. This is supposed to be a pretty steep grade right here. Through experience, I do remember one time stalling a train trying to go up this grade. To the point I was actually unable to make it all the way up the grade and had to end my trip to, I think I was going towards Forest Central. But this is a pretty light train and a pretty good engine, so I don't think we're going to have much trouble. As you can see, it's actually performing pretty well on the grade. Our tree branch is in the way. Wow. Which, honestly, that's not, like, abnormal, because there are plenty of situations where, especially on, like, lesser used, like, branch lines, like, it's common to have tree branches that will, you know, grow into the path of the train. And then, you know, the train just smacks it out of the way. It's not really that big of a deal unless it's, like, a really big tree. And then, you know, even on lines where, you know, trains even, you know, traverse the track daily, there's still situations where, like, if the weather's not cooperating, like a lot of snow or it's rained a lot, you know, tree branches, they get a little heavy and then they kind of slope down and they fall into the path of the train, or the entire tree itself just falls right over. So it's a common thing. I don't know if that's what Derail Valley was going for, or if it was just more of a glitch, but, like, if there was something they were going to be doing on purpose, I feel like it would be kind of cool to kind of have, like, a little bit of an animation in there as well. This is the spur that should take us to our, like, homestead, like, right up the tracks there, is, like, our house. Yeah, you can see our house right there. We're not going to be going that way, though. And pull our map out here. We're getting closer and closer to Forest Central, just a couple more kilometers away, maybe? Yeah, like, I think it was meant to be that way, where the trees are so close to the tracks that you were supposed to, like, you know, hit them with your cab. Like, there's a very distinct sound when, like, a tree branch hits the cab of a locomotive that I think you could kind of recreate in the game, and I think it would be kind of cool to see, you know. Alright, so we're getting pretty close to Forest Central. Right up the way here. There's a Y track, apparently. Alright. If I pull up and think about what we're going to be doing here. Just because I'm not quite sure of what tracks we need to line ourselves into. So let's get a little bit closer here. See what we need to do. Looks like that's the station office right there, so that is good to kind of just make a little mental note of for when we come back this way. So we're going to be pulling this train right on in and then uncoupling, and we'll see what we can do from there. Yeah, I'm thinking that'll be good right in there, so bring this train to a stop and walk on down to uncouple. In one of the recent updates, I think early August, they set an update up that allowed these, well, it makes climbing and going up and down the ladder more realistic, I guess, or functional. Alright. Get this handbrake lined up, or on, there we go. And now we can climb back aboard. Whoa. I guess it would help if we did it the right way. There we go. Okay. Pull forward and get ourselves lined up with the station office. So again, you know, trying to think from the perspective of a real person out here doing this. They're not going to be running all the way back to that yard office to turn in the paperwork. They're going to need to get there first, and the easiest way to get there would be to take the engine with you, which is what we're going to be doing. Alright, so we just had to clear that switch, which I think we have at this point. Yes. Alright, so we can get out here, go line that switch up. So I sort of inadvertently broken one of my rules already, which was to, let's see, climb down here, was to do this as realistically as possible by, you know, using that map to line up my switches. I kind of broke my rule, but that's fine. We will, from here on out, we will try to do this without the assistance of the maps, other than the the mainline switches on the dispatcher's schematic. We'll keep that. So we got that now. We can head back to the cab. And this is again just to kind of shuttle ourselves back up to the yard office. Alright, so that yard office should actually just be, oh, it's right up there a little bit, so we'll go a little bit further up. And then we can park this engine for a minute. And then we can figure out what the heck we're going to do after this. As I said, I would kind of like to go down to the farm to do something, but I don't see anything here that looks like it's going to be going to the farm, unfortunately. Based on the schematic, there are, in fact, things that will go that way, so that was sort of unfortunate, but we'll make it work either way. We'll find something. So we'll go turn our paperwork in. Let's see. All right. And it looks like we got the time bonus, which is fantastic. Got the money. I'm just going to go ahead and take this and toss it in the recycling bin. I guess I don't think I need it after that. And then we got to pay down our fees, so we'll go ahead and take care of that. Okay, that's all done. Now, yeah, that's right. So, like, every time you like finish a job, your engine will shut down on you. So that's what I was like, why did my engine just shut down on me? That's why. So anyway, we got some stuff here. Harbor and well, that's a shunting job. Sawmill, a lot of stuff going to the sawmill here. Something going to the steel mill. So that sounds like something we could do. All right, so let's go ahead and take this, because we can make this just a short little run. That's not going to be, the sawmill's kind of a little ways away. Steel mill is not too far, so we'll take the steel mill job. Okay. So the steel mill is looking for empty cars, it looks like. Those empty cars are going to be on C1S. So we came to C yard already. We're in C yard. And C1S looks like it's right there. So it's the far track. And we're going to be grabbing, it looks like, a total of 8 of these flat cars. So let's get our engine going again. And then we can get on our way. When you do that reset, it shuts the engine down, it puts the handbrake on, but it also does the brake cutoff. There we go. We're already in the cab, so we may as well just stay here and run it this way now, since we had to make our way back up. You know, the idea would be to try to save your legs as much walking as, possible. You can't always avoid it, but you do want to try your best so that way you don't get yourself tired out too much. Alright, that should be good. Alright. Okay, get that one. Walk down to this next one here. In fact, we'll start getting our engine. Basically, we're going to call the engine to us here, and then we will hop back on board. Now, the thought did cross my mind to do like the balloon track around here and like loop around and turn the engine back around, but it's probably just as easy just to do it this way. We're not going that far of a distance, so that shouldn't be a problem. Alright, so didn't mean to jump like that, but let's get these air hoses hooked back together. And then, oh, did it not reach? What's that? What's that all about? That's strange. Let's use the remote here to push the engines just a little, or the engines a little bit closer together. Yeah. Makes that work too. Okay. And let's see. Interesting. I just feel like that's not actually hooked up properly. Let's do a stretch and see. Alright. Oh, looks like we do have a hold of them. That's good. Then let's see here. So, oh, this handbrake is off. That means the handbrake is on the other end of this cut. So, again, trying to save ourselves from having to walk all that distance, I think the best course of action here is just going to be to pull this train ahead. And that way we can undo the handbrake. And then we know that this train fits in this track already, so we should have no problems just shoving it back in to get closer to the engine again before we depart. So we will work on that. This is generally something like you wouldn't do, at least it's frowned upon, but it does happen a lot in the real world. A lot for this particular reason right here. But this is where this remote's going to come in handy for us. Okay, so we did that. Now we can set the train back into the track, and then once we get to the engine, we get back on board. Alright. Put that away for a moment. Looks like we're all set to roll. And close that door there. Or slam it. And we can head out of town. Let's see. Get that into reverse. Brake off. Again, we will waste no time getting out of town. So I could have wasted a little bit of time, turning the engine back around, but it's just it's almost just easier just to run long nose, especially with the short distance that we're traveling. The visibility isn't as good, but it'll work for what we're doing. It kind of makes you wonder how those engineers on the Southern Railway, with the long nose forward operation that they did, like how they put up with it, because I mean this is kind of crazy, not being able to see much of what's going on in front of you. I'm just kind of hoping that we're not going to be exceeding the speed limit anywhere, but I think we're going to be good. I think that as long as we keep it around that between 40 and 60, we should be fine. Yeah, I think I saw a speed limit sign back there, but I don't know what it said. So we're just kind of guessing at this point. We're going to be eyeballing it the rest of the way. This is the branch to the homestead, so it's kind of like a check mark there. We know or a checkpoint, I should say. Well, it looks like we are 60 kilometers based on that last speed sign. You know, with the multiplayer coming along, if you're able to work with somebody else, this would actually not be too bad. You got somebody on the other side there who can, tell you what the speed limits are, what they're seeing is, as far as all that goes. Right out the window, we can see the farm. Was sort of hoping to get something to go to the farm, but that did not pan out the way I thought. But after the steel mill run, maybe we can find something at the farm to haul somewhere. Steel mill is right there, so we're not too far away. None of these are actually too far away from each other, which is nice. This is a good time to take a look at our work order, figure out what track at the steel mill these are going to go to. It looks like B7S. B7S. Gotta remember that. So, I think up here, looks like the switch is lined up properly. So we can just flip back over to this side real quick. It seems to be a little bit helpful to kind of rotate between both sides of the cab here, just so I can see what's going on. I almost need a DE6 that has like another control stand on this side. That'd be helpful. Not seeing anything on that side, so we'll go over to this side here. We're coming around the corner, and I see the next switch, which should bring us right into the yard over here. Now, again, we're going to stop right before this yard switch. Not this one here, but the next one up. And that way we can kind of collect ourselves a little and figure out what track we want to go into once we get into the yard here. Coming around it's a pretty safe speed. Okay. So this gives us an opportunity now to just take a little bit of a breather, and we can go and figure out what track we need to be lined into here. So it looks like this is the B yard, so that's a help, or a good start, I should say. And then B7S, I believe, was the track. We'll just double check that real quick. Yeah, B7S. So B7S is that track right there, and these switches are all lined against us. So let's just hop off real quick, and we will head on over. Get these switches all lined up. So that switch lines us this direction. This is the switch for B60 or B60. And then this next switch should be the correct one. Let's see, yeah. We can go right on into this next switch right here is the correct one. Alright, and we'll go ahead and use this remote now to bring ourselves in. Getting to be a little bit later in the day now. Thankfully, we still got some sunlight, which means this remote's still going to work. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are aware, but it's something that I learned is, yeah, the battery will die on this thing. Alright, that's as far as I want to go right now. The battery will die on this thing. It is solar powered, unless you have the caboose, which has a charging station on it. Otherwise, once it gets dark, this thing is not going to be much use to you. The battery is going to run out. And I learned that the hard way in the middle of a shove move, where basically I lost control of the train. So, yeah, the more you know. It's all a learning experience. Yeah, it looks like the sun is getting ready to set. Yeah, this is probably as good a spot as any, so go ahead and put the brakes back on and jump off. Get this handbrake lined up. I never get that right. Alright, we'll separate the engines here. Let's see. Okay, so I believe that we can check this just to be sure that the station office here in the steel mill, it should show up on this map. Looks like that's the B yard, so yeah, we're actually right here near the the office already, so that makes things a little bit easier. We'll go ahead and put that map away. And that's the yard office right over there, so it's perfect. Perfect spot. I actually probably could have pulled up a little bit more, but, you know, that's in retrospect at this point. Just checking the tracks, making sure nothing's coming. Even though we know nothing's coming, because this is Derail Valley, and there's only one train, and that's you. Maybe in another update they will eventually get that right. It would be kind of cool to see some AI trains moving around. Alright, we're back at the steel mill, and go ahead and turn in yet another order. Collect on that, and then it's like pay off these fees here real quick. Wrong button. Okay, very well. And I think that's going to do it for this video. So it's a good start. I'm enjoying this so far with playing it as, in like real life, where we're not going to be using those special abilities. We're not Superman, so we are not going to be flying around, and I think it works out pretty well, actually. It does add a sort of a challenge, because you can't do some of the things that you would normally do with the advantages that you're given in the game. So that being said, we're gonna end it here, and hopefully see you guys in the next one. And until then, like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, because we're trying to get this channel built up a little bit. And until next time, I'll be signing off. Thank you.